was in high school, I was heavily involved in performing arts, so chorus, theater, all of that stuff. And when I was a junior in high school, I got really sick and lost my voice, like most people lose their voice when they get sick or it gets lower or whatnot. And so I didn't make a big deal out of it. I tried to just push through and whatnot, but it wasn't getting better, it was getting worse. And to save you a lot of that story, a year later, my voice was still not back. And it was really bad to the point where I would consider myself practically mute. I could only speak for a few minutes before my voice gave out, and definitely couldn't sing anymore. I lost my voice. And I go to the doctor, they put a camera down my throat, and they gave me a really bad look, and they said, "We're so sorry, there's nothing we can do about this. This is your life now." I was 18. And they said we could try surgery, but it might make it worse. So those 2 minutes that you get of talking without pain might become 5 seconds, 30 seconds of literally speaking in this level and excruciating just pain. Pretty much my vocal cord was just damaged, and they don't know how it happened. They're like, maybe you were coughing too much, maybe you were just, it's really rare, it doesn't usually happen to people, but it happened to you. And my right vocal cord was like damaged, like there was no fixing, and so there was no sound that was coming out. And whenever I tried to speak, I could kind of speak, and there's some videos of me kind of like trying to get some voice out, and it was just painful. I would cry because I spoke for 5 minutes and it just burned like so bad. And so, I rebelled against God because of it. I wanted to get my major in vocal performance. I was like ready to sing, and I got really rebellious against God. And then fell in love with songwriting in that season. I used to write songs for my friends to sing to me. That's how I started to songwrite. And I decided to go to school for piano and music and whatnot. And it was just really hard to cope with because I was just really angry at God. Like, why would you take that from me at such a young age, Like, I didn't do anything. I got sick. It's not my fault. And then I felt the Lord calling me into ministry during that time. And I was so, vulnerable that I was like, okay, God, like, I'll do it. Like, I'll do it. And I joined an internship program, and I started learning how to do other stuff and playing keys, and I started joining the worship team, and then I would just play keys and be my little background, just worshiping and jumping in the back. And I kind of just made peace with the fact that I was never going to be able to sing again, and that it was always going to be painful to speak, like forever. And obviously that wasn't the case, but pretty much 2 years into this story, I was at a service, just down on the floor, just jumping and worshiping, and obviously I wasn't singing, but I was doing this. And I heard the Lord speak, and he said, "Ask me to take away all your distractions." It was very specific, and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Ask me to take away all your distractions." I was like, "I'm not distracted. You're distracting me. I'm trying to worship, but I'm not distracted." And he's like, "Just ask me." And it was funny because it was during like a fast set, so it's like kind of we want revival now type of vibe. So it wasn't like in a moment in an altar. It was like during just jump and worship. And I was like, "Okay, God, take away all distractions. And he was like, no, but like, ask me. I was like, okay. So I lifted my hands, I stopped jumping, and I just lifted my hands and I said, God, take away all distractions. And before I could finish my phrase, I felt almost like a snap on my vocal cord. I always describe it as like if you slap the bass, like that sound that it makes, that like boom, like that deep sound. And I felt it really strong in my vocal cord, and I was like, it almost was like painful for a second, and then it got really hot. It was like fire, and I held my throat, and I was like, oh my, and I started to speak, like, what is that? And then I just like, everyone's jumping around me, and I just start crying, and I'm like, there's no way. And I just started crying. I turned to my sister, and I was like, there's no way. She's like, what? And I was like, he healed me. Just because, like, I wasn't praying for it, I wasn't asking for it, I made my peace with it. It wasn't my request, it was his request for me that I would ask for this. And he healed me in that moment. And I remember just running around like a crazy person, screaming. Like, if you think I can sing high, I was screaming, because I hadn't heard myself in so long, and I hadn't let out this worship. I hadn't let it out in so long. And I still worshiped. It wasn't like I, didn't worship for 2 years, but there's something different about speaking the name of Jesus. And there's something so healing about worship. And, so that happened. It was pretty cool. And so I got my voice back, and then it was like better than before. Like, I could sing better. It just felt like this fresh pair of vocal cords. Like, it's not like he just gave me new ones, because that's just God. He doesn't just fix the broken things. He gives you like brand new things, because he's just that good. And so my vocal cords are fixed. I don't know how to act. Like, I'm just like, I want to talk to everybody. If you think I talk a lot, maybe now you know why. This happened in 2019, so it has not been that long. But I promised the Lord, I said, God, I will sing for you forever, because you said this was a distraction before, and then you took it away, and you gave me this for you, and you healed me for you, not for me, not so that I could be like, look, I can speak again, but so that I could share this with people. And funny enough, this is only the second time I share this, because Dee was like, why haven't you shared this with people? And I'm like, I don't know. But that happened, and then I share that because this week I was away, and last weekend I was away in New Mexico, and I shared the testimony, right? And right after I shared the testimony, I got really sick, and the day after I woke up, and I couldn't speak. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, there was definitely fear, and I was like, this is an attack of the enemy, like, oh my gosh, like, I can't speak, we have a worship night coming up, and all these things. And the Lord kept repeating one thing over and over since Monday. He said, do you think I can do it again? And I'm like, God, my voice is not like damaged. I'm just a little sick. I was terrified. I was crying at night, like, please, God, like, I don't want this to happen to me again. Like, that would be horrible. I definitely don't want to, like, lose my voice again. And he was like, do you think I can do it again? I said, yes, but are you going to do it? And then silence. And then 5 minutes later, do you think I can do it again? Yes, but are you gonna do it? Silence. And I'm like, oh my God. So then 2 nights ago, I was in my apartment, and I am like just crying out. I laid flat on my carpet in my apartment, and I just cried in silence, like no voice coming out of me. And I was just sobbing. I was like, God, I just love you so much. I love you for who you are. I love you for everything. Forget the apartment, forget the job, forget the position. Like, I love you, and you are so worthy of this posture right now. And I was like, and if it's not to glorify you, God, then don't do it. Don't give me my voice back. It's fine. And then I heard him and he said, this is worship. This is your worship. And I was like blown away, because even though I know these things biblically, for the Lord to confirm that it does not take anything that I say, but everything that I do, for him to consider that worship, just changed everything for me. Everything. I was ruined for normal in that moment. I shared it with Dee the next day. Confirms the vision she had. Literally, she saw that thing happen too. So I was like, it did happen. She just starts bawling. We had lunch with Jesus that day. And I was like, I feel like the Lord allowed that to happen for tonight. I believe that we need to shift our perspective about what worship is and what it looks like. It's not songs. We sing to God in an act of worship, but worship is not songs. It is the posture of your heart toward recognizing his glory and his goodness. It is your reaction to Jesus in the room. That is what worship is. And so we sing songs and we breathe and we sit down and we wait for what's next, and it's so normal and it's so churchy. But God is not churchy. He is God. And I believe that there's healing power in worship, and we don't worship him for healing. We worship him and then we receive it because he's good. And so tonight I wanted to share that with you, and I think this is a beautiful moment. There's nothing about me that's making it beautiful, but Jesus is right here next to me. I know he is. And he's center stage, and he healed me twice. But regardless if he would have healed me or not, I worshiped that night in my room, and it was beautiful because it was me and his presence. And I mean it when I say that I never want to leave his presence. So tonight, can we worship Jesus? Before we leave this room, can we actually recognize and set our hearts to him? Something beautiful he's been teaching me about worship, and it's that we must come up, that we must take hold, and then we worship. We must come up, and it's not so much coming up, but coming up to the throne, taking hold of his feet, and then you worship. Can we take hold of his feet tonight? Can we not just go home and say it was a cool worship night? They sang cool songs, they did cool things, Miles shared a cool vision, but can we leave saying, I worshiped Jesus tonight? So if it's okay, I want to spend a few moments just like this, so that we can, if you haven't found Jesus in the room, I advise you to come up to his feet, take hold of it, and then your reaction will be worship. We are created to worship, so naturally if we do those things, our hearts will worship him. It starts inside and then it becomes vocal. So we're not going to sing another song right now. We're going to take hold of the feet of Jesus. And our worship might look a little bit different than a song, and that's okay.